Hello everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just make sure you have some paper and a pencil and whatever you're going to use to color with, as well as a ruler, even though mine is, a little bent up. But also, if you don't have markers, you can always just use colored pencils or crayons. It really doesn't matter. Just make sure you have something to color with. So whatever letter you choose to draw is going to go nice and big in the middle of your paper. Now, if you don't remember our tip on how to draw bubble letters, I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. So nice and lightly, I am just drawing the letter V for Miss Vicente, just how I would normally draw the letter V. And I know that it's really light, but it's just because I'm going to end up erasing this in the final step. So I don't want it to be too dark. Now I'm going to go back with my pencil and I'm just going to trace around the V that I just drew. So I'm going to go ahead, go all the way around with my pencil. These I don't have to worry about being too dark because I'm actually going to keep these lines. If you mess up, don't worry, that's all right. Once you connect that letter, you're going to go back in with your eraser and get rid of that line in the middle, which should be that original letter that you drew. All right, the next step is to find what looks like is the center of your paper. So I'm just gonna mark a little dot, and it doesn't have to be exact, just whatever the middle of your paper looks like it'll be, and make a small light dot there. Now we're going to use our ruler to help us draw straight lines through that dot. So my first line is going straight up and down, and the most important thing to remember is that it goes right through the dot that's in the middle of your paper. And I'm gonna go ahead and do one that goes across my paper, again making sure to go through that dot. And I'm gonna go ahead and do some diagonal lines. Now, it doesn't matter if it goes from corner to corner. All that matters is that it goes through the dot. So it might not go from corner to corner perfectly, but as long as it goes through the dot, then you are perfectly okay. So try and line your ruler up as best as you can and draw that line. And then I'm going to do the same thing the other way, which is a diagonal line going in the opposite direction, making sure that it goes through the middle of my paper. So when you're finished, count to make sure you have 8 lines on your paper, because you need to have an even number of lines in order for this project to work. If you want to do more than 8, that's fine, but you would have to do 10 or 12 lines. You couldn't do an odd number like 9 or 11. But just to make this a little simpler, we're going to keep it with our 8 lines and get started. Now, unless you're using black and white as your colors, you do not need to outline anything. Just go ahead and start with whatever complementary colors you picked. So I have orange and blue because they are opposites on the color wheel, just like yellow and purple, red and green. Just make sure that you only pick 2 opposite colors. You're not doing a rainbow here. Just make sure you pick the 2 that you like and get started. Now, I'm going to start by tracing one of the slices in my background, but watch what I do. I'm going to skip over the part of the line that goes through my letter and then continue to trace on the other side. Because what we're going to do is color in that part of the letter with my other marker. So now that I have that slice of my background outlined, I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring it in with my blue. Again, making sure that I do not color in the part of my bubble letter that goes into that slice. I know it sounds easy, but I promise it gets very tricky. So go ahead, keep coloring in that slice, making sure that you do not touch that bubble letter at all. Okay, so now that I have that part finished, I want to color every other background slice with my blue marker, making sure that I leave a space in between for my orange slices. So using my blue, I'm going to color in every other slice in the background. Again, making sure that when you're coloring in the slices of your background, you are not touching your bubble letters. Just completely avoid it and pretend that it's not even there. Now here's where it can get tricky sometimes. Don't forget that the tips of your slices still need to be colored in with the rest of that slice. So let me bring it a little closer so you know what I mean. This is a blue slice right here, but my bubble letter's there. So I'm gonna skip over the bubble letter and just make sure that I remember to color in the tip of that slice. Alright, so now that I've finished my blue slices and I made sure not to touch my bubble letter at all, I'm going to go back in and color the rest of my slices with orange. Still making sure that I do not touch my bubble letter. So now that you've finished up with the background, you should see that there's no part of your bubble letter that is colored in. It should be completely white, because what we're going to do for the next step is color in those same pieces of our bubble letter with the opposite color. So let me show you what I mean. Take a look at the color that this slice is. It's blue, which means that part of my V should be orange. It's opposites. Now, because this is an orange slice, this part of my V should be blue. Just Remember to keep that going for the entire thing. It really does start to get complicated, so just take your time and make sure that you're really paying attention to which color you're using, because you really can't erase colored pencils or crayons or markers, so it's better to just take it slow and make sure you're not making any mistakes. Now again, because this is a blue slice, I'm going to color only this part of my bubble letter using orange. Now, of course, your pencil lines are still there, so just color in the shape using the pencil lines and making sure you stop before you reach the next section. Now, this is my next blue slice, so I'm gonna again color this part of my bubble letter with only orange. And of course, just go ahead, keep finding your blue slices or whatever your color is, and coloring in that part of the bubble letter with the opposite color. Alright, so I'm pretty sure that you can guess what your next step is. You are, of course, going to do that same thing, except using the opposite color to fill in the remaining spaces. So since all I have left are orange slices, that means my blue marker is going to fill in the rest of my bubble letter. Ta-da, you are all done, and the really cool part is your letter stands out even though you didn't outline it at all. The only reason we can see your letter is because we used opposite colors in our background. So opposite meaning contrast, and this is how contrast can really make something stand out in your artwork. Now I hope you had fun watching. I can't wait to see which opposite colors you choose. I'm gonna go wash this marker off my hand, but I will see you guys later.